In today's video, I'm going to walk you guys through my exact process and framework that I would use again if I wanted to quit my job and start flipping houses full time. To give you guys a bit of context, I quit my job in December 2024, just over 12 months ago. Took the leap of faith, which I know some of you guys watching this video are in a position where you really want to get out of your job, you really want to get out of your 9 to 5, and maybe you're not sure what that actually looks like and how to actually get there. So the whole purpose of today's video is to show you guys the framework that I personally use before I decided to quit my job, take the leap of faith and step into flipping houses full time in Australia. And this has absolutely served me well. I'm also going to share some of the mistakes that I made, and make sure you guys watch right through to the end, because I've got a free resource to share with you guys that's going to help you along the way and get started on your journey flipping houses here in Australia. The first thing that I would be doing and taking into consideration is, number one, proof of concept. So we don't want to quit our job until we've actually got proof that we know what we're doing. Until we've actually stacked a win, we don't want to quit our job straight away. So number one is proof of concept. So what does this actually look like? Now, to give you guys a bit of background on what I did, I got my first flip under contract towards the end of 2024. Now, I was still working my full-time job. My background is a Sparky. I was still working full-time in that job. I basically done this on the side. So yes, you're gonna have to put a little bit of extra effort in on the weekends, outside of work, to be able to get to this position, to, transition out of your job. But it's no different to anything. You want to have proof of concept. So my first one, I did the work, found the first deal, got other people involved to help me fund the deal because I didn't have all the resources I needed, which is another thing I'll talk about later in this video. But I went through that process, found the deal, got the money together, and then it was a matter of building my team, getting my trades, and getting stuck into the job. So the good thing about that deal that I found is I was able to outsource majority of the work because I was still working full time. So if you want to get these projects knocked over in a relatively quick period of time and not have to try and do all the work on the job yourself, you want to get other people involved. So the way to do that is just making sure you buy the property at the right price. So this particular property was actually a JV with the seller. So JV is a joint venture, for those of you that don't know what that is. So I basically worked with the seller. I paid for the renovation. I paid for the sale costs. I didn't technically buy the property, which is an example of a creative deal you can do in this game where you can actually get into the flipping houses without having to physically buy the property. So I did a joint venture with the seller. I paid for the reno, done that process, renovated the house. I actually got trades in to do 95% of the work while I was still at work. I would just pop in after work, check on the job, drop off materials. And it really didn't take that much effort, to be completely honest. And after that project was complete, we managed to knock it over in 4 weeks. That was a full gut internal. So replaced the kitchen, replaced the bathroom, replaced all the, repainted, redone the floors inside, redone all the landscaping on the outside. So 4 weeks worth of work, that was knocked over. I ended up making $98,000 profit on that project, and I was doing that on the side. So the only reason I tell you this, guys, is because you don't have to be putting 30, 40 hours a week into the renos on the side while you're trying to do this transition. If you play this smart and you buy the property at the right price, you can delegate the works and get other trades to do the job on the side. You certainly don't have to be a tradie. So proof of concept is getting that first deal over the line. And in that example, look, I probably jumped the gun a little bit, but I actually quit my job after that first deal. So I made $98,000 profit on that deal. I had another deal coming up, which leads me to number 2. And that basically gave me the confidence to go, stuff it, let's go all in on this space. So number 1's proof of concept. Now, if I was going to do it again, I would have done 2 deals before I quit my job. The reason being is because you don't want to eat into the nest egg that you put away on, to fund your costs, okay? To fund your wage while you're doing these projects. So with that being said, we'll lead you into number 2, which is you want to have a nest egg. For those of you that know the game of house flipping, it's not the same as some other businesses. Some other businesses, you might be able to get into it a little bit quicker, but this particular business, you're making massive amounts of profits on these deals, but it doesn't happen overnight. A standard house flip project, from the time you get the keys to the time you sell the property, is usually 3 to 4 months max if you do it the right way. By the time you do your first one, you get the keys, you do the reno, you sell it, and you actually get paid, there's a longer timeline between that. So you want to have a nest egg sitting there available before you quit your job. For me, that was 6 to 12 months of living expenses. 6 to 12 months of living expenses. So just to give you guys an example, so let's say your baseline living expenses, so it doesn't take long for you guys to work this out, but if you were being super conservative and you weren't going on holidays and you were taking this super seriously and you really wanted to get out of your job, let's say you work out your baseline living expenses is $1,000 a week. So example, $1,000 a week is your baseline living expenses. So for me, the way that I looked at it is I wanted to have a minimum of 6 months of living expenses just sitting there on the side as a nest egg that I could basically use to pay myself a wage so that I could cash flow myself for at least 6 months, okay? If you got 12 months there, even better. But you want at least 6 months, 26 weeks, which is half a year, 6 months times $1,000 equals 25 to 26K. So you want to have about $26,000 sitting there. So maybe $30,000 just to be safe. So that's sitting there aside, okay? You can't touch that money. That doesn't go towards the capital, towards your flip project. That just sits there on the side. And that's for you to cover your wage. That's basically what I did. So you want to have proof of concept. If you've done 2 deals while you're still working your full-time job, I think that's a really good way to basically wet your feet in this game. Get that first deal knocked over. Your confidence will go through the roof. Do it again, make some really good money, stack some cash away, use a portion of that money there as your nest egg. And this leads me to the next point. So number 3, you want to have a loaded pipeline. So what does that actually mean? So when I say loaded, I mean, you don't want to over leverage yourself too early. But for me, it was, okay, I've done these 2 steps. I've done a deal or 2. I've made really good money. I know that I can do it. I'm confident that I can continue to replicate it. I've got a nest egg there, 6 to 12 months of living expenses, and I've got at least 1 deal in the pipeline that's coming up, that's basically not far away from settling before you get stuck into the renos, okay? So you want at least 1 to 2 deals in the pipeline. So if you've got 1 to 2 deals in the pipeline, it basically means, you've got constant work coming up. I don't suggest you do a deal, make some money, do another deal, make some money, and then just quit your job. Because if you don't have another deal coming up, you've got no cash flow coming in to cover your expenses. We want to keep the momentum rolling. You don't want to, do 1 deal here, 1 deal there, and then the 6 months between when you start and when you get your next deal and when it settles. You want to try and keep that momentum rolling so that when you do actually quit your job, you're not super stressed out, okay? You want to keep the pipeline full and keep having 1 to 2 deals just sitting there in the distance coming up, and that's going to cash flow you and continue to help you build up your wealth in this space. The other thing that I think might be worth adding here, okay, something that needs to be taken into consideration. So as I mentioned at the start of the video, I didn't start with a whole lot of money in this space. Just to give you a bit of context, my wife and I, she wasn't my wife back then, she is now basically. So I didn't start with all of this money, okay, when I got started in this space. I got other people involved to help me fund these deals. Now, you guys have maybe heard of money partners, you maybe heard of investors, private money, private lenders, things like that. These are the ways you can continue to scale and get into more and more of these deals. It's nothing more than a mindset switch of thinking, okay, if you've got the capital yourself, that's great. I can do one deal a year. That's how some people think. I thought differently about this. I looked at it and thought, okay, I don't want to just do one deal a year. I want to try and do 5, 6, 7, 8 deals a year. And that's sort of the mindset I had last year. So rather than capping myself and closing off my mind and thinking, oh, I don't have the money, I can't continue to flip, I started getting resourceful. I started looking for other ways to fund these deals, which was going to help me scale. It was going to help me get out of my job quicker, and it was going to help me make a lot more money. There are plenty of people out there, and trust me when I say this, that have money sitting there. If you can offer them a high interest rate, and you provide securities, 3 layers of protection for them on their money, there's lots of people that will take you up on that deal. I generally pay my investors 15% per annum. It's completely passive income for them. And these relationships are what you want to begin to build in this early stage here to help, so that when you actually quit your job and transition into this space, you've got people that can help you fund these deals to allow you to continue to scale. Basically, so you're not restricted with your own resources. So this one is very, very important, and it's what's helped me get to this position. I'll get to that in another video, but if you want to learn more about that, there'll be a link below where you can book in a call with my team. You can find out more about that whole process and how to actually get in contact with some of these investors. I'll walk you through that whole process in my blueprint, but that's a whole nother story. So feel free to book in a call with my team. It's a completely free intro call just to get you started, but let's get back to the rest of the video. So number 4, funding/capital partners. So having relationships with these types of people is what is going to allow you to scale, as I sort of mentioned before, okay? The funny thing is, and the funny thing you will realize is once you do a deal to, you really just got to do everything you can to get that first deal locked in and over the line. Once you start getting a couple of deals under your belt, like I personally get messages all the time of people that want to help me fund my deals. And I'm already working with people that are helping me fund my deals. So I don't really need extra people. So I actually palm those people off to my students to help them fund their deals. There are, as I mentioned, there's a lot of people out there that are going to be able to help you fund these deals. And I can help teach you that whole process in another video. But coming back to this, okay? Money partners, investors, even private lenders. Some people wonder, okay, if I set up a brand new company, how do I get funding through it? There are private lenders and non-bank lenders out there that don't care about your serviceability. They don't care about your financials, and they will help you fund these projects a certain percentage of the purchase price to help you get into these deals. Maybe you've already got your own capital. Maybe you've already got, a heap of equity in your home. You can pull some of that out as a line of credit, and that's how you can get into that first deal. There's so many different ways to fund these deals. I know people that use self-managed super funds to fund other people's deals. So there's a lot of ways to do it, but getting back to this, having access to capital partners is going to help you, continue on your journey and continue to scale and build up into this. Because at the end of the day, we want to quit our job. A lot of you guys here right now, you're obviously watching this video because you're looking for another way to get into house flipping full time. And look, I think this is an extremely safe way to get yourself into this position. You're ticking the boxes. You're not cutting yourself too short. You're allowing for at least 6 to 12 months worth of living expenses. You've got proof of concept. You've done 1 to 2 deals successfully. You've made some money, so your confidence is up. You've got another deal or 2 in the pipeline, and you've started building these relationships with investors, money partners, people that are going to help you and allow you to continue to take on these deals. And look, once you get to a point where, you've made enough money yourself in these projects, you can just be your own money partner essentially. So you don't need to get other people involved. But if you're early on in your journey, look, there's some people out there that maybe you've got the money and other people have got the deal. So sometimes you can actually work together with other people and help you get into this position. All right, guys, so we've talked about the framework that I actually personally used to get myself out of my job after my first profitable flip into this full time. Now, what does this actually look like realistically in terms of how much time you need to put away each week for this to be realistic, leveraging the house flipping strategy? For me personally, I think you want to try and allow at least 10 to 20 hours a week to do this as a side hustle to give yourself the best chance of actually stepping into this full time. I don't want to mislead you. Look, you can do this for less. You can do this 5 to 10 hours a week. You can learn all the information and get into this and take the slow approach. But I know those of you that are watching this, you're not mucking around. Like, you guys want to get out of your job as quickly as possible. So if you can allow 10 to 20 hours on the side every week, learning this process, going through this process, learning all the ins and outs of suburb selection, how to find these deals, prospecting for deals, making offers, building up these relationships with capital partners, etc., etc. That's going to give you the best chance of actually stepping into this space full time. And I can tell you right now, this is one of the best jobs in the world. Like, I'm still flipping houses full time right now. I'm working with a very small group of people all across Australia, teaching them these exact strategies that I'm using to actually get to this point, to help them quit their job and step into this full time. And I think this is an incredible opportunity, guys. I think Australia is still at the very early days of it. Like, how many other people do you see on YouTube talking about flipping houses in Australia? So many people think you can't do this right now. And that is where the opportunity is. There is so much money to be made in this game, and I don't want you guys to miss out on that opportunity. Now, I know I mentioned it at the start of the video, but you've made it to the end, so thank you for watching right through to the end of the video. I hope this is going to help you guys out and give you a framework that you can also use to help you step into this full time. Click on the link below. I have created a free flipping calculator that I provide to all of my students. I'm going to give it to you guys completely free. Go to the link below and you can collect that and claim that. And that's going to help get you started in this process. I've got another video which I'll link to it below where I actually walk you through how to use this calculator. And that's going to help you start to run the numbers, get into this space, and start to familiarize yourself with this whole process. I hope you guys got some value out of this video. If you have, please share it with a friend. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next one.